My name's Ryan and I'm in recovery. If you haven't seen my previous videos, I am 38 years old in recovery from cocaine addiction. I've kind of been battling the problem for most of my adult life. It was this big kind of secret that I kept from even my partner, loved ones, family, everything, and it all kind of came out early this year, and I went to rehab, and I've been documenting my journey via these videos since. Yeah, if you saw my last video, I mentioned I want to get back into running. I just went and did a very slow 5k. I don't think it was actually 5, if I'm honest. I think it was about 4.5, but yeah, it's the first one in a while, so I didn't think it was going to be easy. But yeah, my plan is to, on the 10th of September, I'm going to run for 10 consecutive days, 10 kilometres per day. I might actually do it for charity. I just need to work them things out. This idea only kind of probably occurred to me earlier today, and I said about it in my previous video. I've got quite a funny story I thought I'd share. Another festival story. It was a wilderness festival, which is a fun festival. I used to go every year for a few years and was kind of DJ'd there a few times and stuff like that. And then this particular year I'd been booked to DJ, just like one of the small stages. And I had some friends that had bought tickets. I had bought tickets and were going for the weekend. So my plan was to just go for like 24 hours on the Saturday, do my DJ set and just like bunk in one of the tents. This was a very common occurrence for me when I was younger. I wouldn't dream of doing something now. I need my comfort. Something like that now. I need my comfort. But yeah, so all I literally went with was the clothes on my back. Don't even think I had a jumper or a jacket. My headphones and a USB or a couple of USB sticks with my music on it. And yeah, I wasn't DJing until quite late, like midnight or something. So I was planning on kind of getting to the festival in the evening. As you would expect for around that time period, I came packed with party supplies and drinks and stuff and started tucking into it on the train. But then my train got cancelled. The train that I was on got like taken out of service, and it ended up taking me like hours and hours and hours to get there from London. I finally arrived at the festival site and it was like pissing with rain. It was like a monsoon. Like I said, I was just in my kind of like summer gear. Didn't really factor it in, and was also a bit kind of buzzing from getting on it on the train and stuff. So it wasn't the greatest. And then so I got to the kind of bit where you get your guest list pass or whatever, your artist accreditation, and it was closed. They were like, oh, it's closed for the day. And I was like, oh, well, I've had loads of delays getting here. Can you please just let me in? And they were like, no. I was like, well, I'm DJing tonight. Like, I really need something. I need you to help me out kind of thing. And they just refused. And so I kind of stood out in the rain, kind of wondering what to do, getting absolutely soaked through. And then I noticed that all around where the kind of guest list entrance was, they weren't like proper festival fences. It was just like a little silver fence about 7 foot high. I'm 6 foot, so I was like, maybe I'll just scale that and I'll go and get my guest list pass tomorrow. So that's what I did. I jumped over the fence. Ended up getting to my DJ set with not much time to spare, soaked to the bone. Got there, and the guy that was DJing before me, I actually loosely knew him. So we kind of had a bit of a chat and whatever. And then I went to take over and I plugged my USB in and it wasn't even registering that it was being plugged in. And then I realised it was wet and I was like, fuck, I think my USBs have got water damage. I don't have any music and I'm about to do a DJ set. So I was like, fuck. And then, generously the guy that was DJing before me was like, just use he was using CDs, he's an older guy. Not that there's anything wrong with using CDs, but yeah, he was like, yeah, use my CDs. Very helpful, but the problem is his CDs, he like had them all in like a kind of CD wallet. None of them had labels stating what songs were on the CD. They were just labelled like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I guess he's just over the years got to know what's on each CD. But it doesn't help me. I was like, how am I going to plug a CD in, not knowing what music's on it? So I basically had to wing a DJ set by doing that. Go quickly plugging in a CD, skipping through the songs, working out, trying to find a quick song. If you're a DJ, you'll know if there's like a 4-minute song, you've probably only got 2 minutes to find the next song and kind of get it ready and start, beat matching it, whatever. Anyway, yeah, so I did that. Very underwhelming DJ set, as you can imagine. think I ended up playing like 5 Prince songs just because I found a CD that had Prince on it, and I was like, I know Prince, that can be my safety net when I don't find a song in time. Yeah, I don't think anyone was particularly enamoured by my set. A bit disappointing. Yeah, so then that finished. The story gets better than this, by the way, just FYI. That finished, and then I went and met a couple of friends, like I say, that I knew were there. I knew like a couple, they were in a big group, I only knew a couple of them, but I kind of went and joined them, and we had a bit of a boogie, I was getting on it, partying and stuff. And then they wanted to go back to their tents. And me and the one guy who I knew the best out of the group, we basically just kind of carried on for a bit, and then came back to the tent a few hours later, and basically just sat outside the tent, getting on it, ploughing through all the drugs and drinking and stuff. Probably much to the annoyance of his campmates, because we were being quite loud and obnoxious, I would imagine. We finally decided to roll into bed because the sun was coming up, and I didn't want to be that creature that's kind of up when people start coming out of their tents and emerging. So we went into the tent. But I'm undenied about whether to tell this part of the story. But basically, he seemed to fall asleep quite quickly. We were just in his boxers on top of his sleeping bag because it was warm. And he proceeded to start, I can't really put this eloquently, the only way I can put it is he proceeded to start fingering his bumhole or like doing something under, like had his hand down his back of his pants and was forcefully doing something. And I tried to kind of like cough and, you know, make him aware that I was awake and knowing what was going on. But I think he was doing it in his sleep, which is pretty mad. And yeah, so I felt pretty uncomfortable, and I was like, I'm just gonna have to duck out. So I ducked out, and one of my friends was actually working on one of the food stalls. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll just go and see if he's there yet, if he's like on setup or whatever. Because again, it's still really early in the morning. So yeah, I went and tracked down his stall, and he was there. He was setting up, so I kind of just sat at the back of the food stall with him and was just chatting, catching up. He's actually a really old friend of mine. We went to school together, so we were catching up. And then I got chatting to one of the guys he was working with, because I really recognised him. And eventually I was like, I really recognise you. We met before. And he was like, oh, you probably recognise me because I've been on, I won't say the TV show, but he'd been on this TV show, like a shipwrecked, not shipwrecked, but shipwrecked style show where you kind of get stranded on an island and you have to fend for yourself, that sort of vibe. He'd been on one of those. And I was like, oh yeah, I actually did watch that. That must be where I know you from. So we chatted. And then he told me something that I thought was nuts. He said that when they were on this island, shipwrecked, him and a couple of the other people on the show were like walking around the island, walking through like some like dense wooded bit or something, and they found like a big package, like it was all cellophaned up, and they broke it open, and it was cocaine, like loads and loads of cocaine. And they proceeded to like do a bit, and they basically decided that they wouldn't tell anyone else or the film crew that were there. What they would do is every now and then they would just sneak off and have a little dip into it. And he was saying about how handy it was because they were really struggling for food because it was like, you know, you had to hunt and gather and all that kind of stuff, and they were failing at it. So whenever they got really hungry, they would just go into this wooded area, bosh some coke and carry on. And the film crew never found out, and none of the other people on the show ever found out either. It's pretty nuts, I thought.